It was an early morning at the Pville hospital. Nurse Redheart had just started her shift and doing her rounds to see the patients. When she walked into one particular room, she saw it was a stallion by the name Short Fuse. Short Fuse had actually ended up in a hospital after a small accident at a construction site in town. And Nurse Redheart immediately recognized him because he was an old friend of hers. She hadn't even seen him in a while, and she was like, Short Fuse? Is that really you? Redheart? Is that you? Yeah, I mean, it's been a long time. When did you come back to Ponyville? Oh, um, about 2 months ago. And you never even thought out to reach out to your old friend? Moving, unpacking, and all that, and start working almost right away. Has been a lot of work. I know, but you could at least have said hi to me just before you start working. Yeah, I know. But what about you? A nurse? I mean, you did say something that you wanted to help others when we were just young. I mean, either as a doctor, nurse, or maybe a teacher. So you choose to be a nurse. Yeah, that I did. And it was a lot of work, you know, a lot of studies and exams, but all worked in the end. I, I can say that, said Short Fuse. So, tell me, what happened to you? Oh, me. Um, well, then he told her the story. While he was working, a beam fell over him, hit him on the side, and it was quite of an impact, and it broke at least 4 ribs for him. You really had a bad luck, did you? I mean, I mean, it. I thought that they had secured the beam, and well, have you thought of maybe doing something else? Maybe not so dangerous? There always some danger in any particular work, you know that. And you know what? I don't like to just be sitting around, just some office work or anything. You know I would like to be out in the open, work with my own hooves, to do something. Yeah, that reminds me when we were young. Yeah, but I'm sorry, I have to continue my rounds, but I will see you soon enough. Yeah, sure. After that, she smiled at him and left. Short Fuse actually were originally from Ponyville, but he moved away several years ago to Baltimore. His family moved there due to his dad actually got an opportunity to work. So they decided to stay there. But it wasn't like only 2 months ago when he decided to move back to Ponyville. It's because that he wanted to work within a construction. He had always liked to build things, so he wanted to do something with that include building. So he thought construction could actually be good. But when he looked around for any particular job for within construction, he had only been working in construction in Baltimore for some while. But when he heard from an old friend back home in Ponyville saying that they were looking for some more experienced constructors, workers, so he thought, why not to take the opportunity to move back home and also start working with something that he liked to do? And that's what happened. And later that day, it was around lunchtime when Nurse Redheart decided to go back to see her old friend, Short Fuse. When she walked in, he was actually eating his lunch. She sat down next to him and they started talking about old memories and other small talk. You know, we actually had a lot of fun when we were growing up, didn't we? Oh, yeah, we did. We played all kinds of games with our friends. Though, do you remember the time when we played hide and seek? Um, We did play that a lot when we were growing up, so is there any particular time you were referring to? Oh, right, sorry, you remember the time when you were hiding in that chest in the attic in your old home? Oh, that time. Yeah, I do remember that clearly. I mean, we just died. You and me were hiding, and we trying to find the different spots. And I thought maybe the attic would gonna be a good spot. There's a lot of boxes that I could hide behind, or something in it. But then I saw this old chest, and I was like, that would be a perfect spot. That they won't even see me that easily. So I did, but no one didn't came to find me. Well, I mean, we didn't know the fact that you were even there, and took you what almost 2 hours before we decided to just give up. But they, but your parents found you a little bit later that evening because you had somehow fallen asleep. Yeah, I mean, I was tired, and I was just a small cold back then, and not surprising. Yeah, and it was also the reason why we all agreed that Alex was off limits for any reason during the hide and seek, and the basement as well. Yeah, but it was fun though. I mean, you kind of did win since no one could even find you after that time. Yeah, though, but you know, times were always the best when we were younger. Even though I actually was a bit sad when you moved away that day. You were like what, 10? Oh yeah, that particular day, yeah. I remember when my family decided to move since my dad actually got an opportunity for work in Baltimore. Even though I protested and it every single time, but it was pointless, you know. I just as a kid back then, I couldn't even do much about it. Yeah, but even I had to admit, even then, I did actually have a small crush on you. Wait, you did? You never told me that. Well, I mean, I was just like a young filly, 10 years old. I mean, can you not blame me though? No, I don't. Being honest, even after you moved, I did thought about you from time to time, and I thought maybe you could have been the one. I mean, we did write letters to each other. Yeah, we did, but it was not the same. I mean, even you came back to see me during the summer break, but only for about a week or two. But yeah, I know. I understand if you don't have any crush on me anymore, and you have, probably find somebody else to be with. Actually, no, I haven't been with any pony, and my feelings for you has never even faded away. What? So you have been in love with me for all this time, haven't you? Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I did thought of maybe to confess my feelings to you by letter, but in the end, I never did, since it wouldn't be the same. You probably did want to do it face to face. Am I right? She just nodded. Hmm. You know, if I had to admit, that day when I was about to move, when we had said our final goodbyes, I I wish I could done something else. Like what? To be honest, here, I did actually even have a crush on you back then. I mean, I thought you were very cute, and I wanted to ask you, but since I was about to move, even despite how many times I tried to protest my family, tried to convince them to stay, or at least maybe let me to stay with when some of their family could stay behind so that I could stay, but that didn't work. Yeah, I mean, he was just so young. Uh, See, from this, we have a second chance. I mean, you had to move back here, though. I did. So how about we go on a date when I am, finally recover from this accident? I would like that. Then she kissed his cheek and smiled, and then she had to leave the room. Short fuse actually, but that moment felt all those romance feelings he had for Nurse Redheart came back. And about a week later, he made a full recovery from his injuries. Turned out those broken ribs wasn't even that serious. And he did to decide to take the opportunity to ask her out, which she said yes. So they actually went to a local movie theater and they just had a great time. And even after they had left, they actually went to a small diner to just talk about the movie and grab something to eat before going home. But even after all this, Shortfuse realized something. He had always in love with her for all this time. He also thought if he had never even had seen or been told by his old friend back home about this that they were looking for workers, he wouldn't even have returned home and run into Nurse Redheart and even ask her out on a date. But he would even ask himself, are they now an official couple? Or are they just dating until they want to make it official? So one day when he was just out for a walk, he actually ran into Nurse Redheart. He just asked her, just like, Redheart, yeah? There is something I wanted to ask you. Yeah, what is it? You know that we have been dating now for a short while now. Yeah? Um, are we an actual couple by now? I mean, I wasn't sure if you felt the same way. Of course I did. I mean, I felt the same as we went on our first date. So we had actually been a couple since the first date. Yeah, I mean, I thought so. Didn't you? Yeah, I did actually. I wasn't really sure if you did. But that made them both happy to realize they had been in a relationship the whole time then. And with that, they were just happy to finally to be with the one they loved the most. One day when Nurse Redheart was in town to do some errands, she heard a voice behind her and she saw it was Lyra, one of her close friends. Oh hey Lyra. Oh hey. Um I had to ask you something. Yeah? Are you and your fuse have any problems? No? What do you mean? What do you even ask? Well, I heard that he's leaving town. What? You didn't know? No. This is the first time I ever heard of it. What do you mean? Well, I heard from Sweet Drops, who actually heard from him, telling her that he is leaving town for a while. I thought maybe that you two had a fight or something. No, we had never a fight at all. Oh, did he say exactly why? I think it was something about work, maybe construction. I mean, I know that he works within construction. Do you know where he was going to work? Not, I don't remember exactly, but it was not even nearby. I can see that. Well, thank you for telling me. So after she finished her errands, she went to see Short Fuse. Short Fuse, I had to ask you something. Yeah, what's up? What is it? Are you leaving town for a short while? Oh, yeah, actually, I am. What? Did I do something? Or is this for work? No, first, it's nothing that's something that you have done. And yes, it is for work. You see, me and my construction team actually have been offered, uh, for help to constructing something back in Baltimore. Oh, yeah, actually, I'm only going back home for a short while. How long? I think the time would be about 2, 3 months or so. It could be longer to depend on what if something happened, but But please promise me you keep yourself safe when over there, okay? I mean, I can't be your personal nurse even back there. Don't worry, I'm not that clumsy. Huh, you say that right now, but when you were younger, you were always clumsy. Hey, I'll learn from that, okay? But yeah, I promise. So, but no, a couple of weeks later, Short Fuse actually left Pondeville to be Baltimore. But he was only there for like 3 months. And during that 3 months, she did receive letters from him quite often, telling how the work has been progressing, and there were no signs of any injuries alongside for him. And after 3 months, he actually came back home. Sometime after that, Short Fuse had returned back to Ponyville. He had actually started to have some thoughts about Nurse Redheart. He had been thinking about if he was ready to take the next step. Even to the fact that he had only been dating for about 6 months, but they have known each other for many years. So he wasn't really sure if he was ready to take the next step by proposing to her. But one day, it came to much a drastic change because Short Fuse? Yeah? Can we talk about something? It's quite an important actually. Sure, what is it? Well, I haven't been feeling well lately, and so I went to see the doctor. Since you're a nurse? Sorry, the pun intended. Ah, that's fine. But yeah, I went to see the doctor just in case to see what's wrong with me. Is the flu? I thought at first it might have been the flu or something, but it wasn't even that. Then what is it? Well, it turned out I'm actually pregnant. Say what? Yeah. Um, okay. Um, how far along are you? I mean, if the doctor told you, I'm about 3 months. So you got pregnant 3 months ago when I was shortly before I actually went to work? Yeah, pretty much. Oh, sweet Celestia. Are you not happy? Not happy? Are you kidding? I'm more than over the moon. I mean, I always wanted to be a father myself. This is great news. But then he did ask her something else. Well, there is something I want to ask you. Oh? What it is? What is it? Then he showed her the ring. Nurse Redheart. Even though we had known each other for so long, been dating for just 6 months, now we had a baby on the way. I think it's probably the best we actually settle down before the baby is born and all that. Will you marry me? And she said yes immediately. They actually decided to have a small wedding just with some close friends and family. So Nurse Redheart invited her family, her parents. Short Fuse invited his two parents and some of their close friends from back home. And they decided to have the wedding within the next month, which they had in Ponyville. And it was a small wedding, but it was beautiful. Both Nurse Redheart and Short Fuse couldn't be happier. When the both sides of families find out why they decided to have the wedding so soon, that they were expecting their first child, which was unexpected for both of them since they weren't planned for having a child so soon. But both sides of families actually supported their idea. But since they had known each other for so long, it was like they weren't strangers to each other. So they did. So after that, after they had their wedding, they actually decided to just went to Manhattan for about a week for their honeymoon, and they just had a great time. A lot of some performance, enjoying romantic dinners, and some other things. Shortly after that, they actually moved back home to Ponyville, And they were at the time also living together already. But when they were gone, some of their friends actually had already prepared a nursery with a crib, some toys, and something like that. But since they didn't know, in fact, yet if they were having a daughter or a son. But only about a couple of months later, they actually found out they were having a daughter. And then when the day came the daughter was born, both of them were so over the moon. And just about 4 years later, they even had another child. Another daughter, in fact. They were just happy to actually be had their big family together. It was even one time when Short Fuse actually did wondered how his life would have been if he never actually moved back to Ponyville. If he had ever found his true love within Nurse Redheart. Meaning, if he had never moved back to Ponyville, he may have never confessed his true feelings for her, and none of this would have happened. Which means, not meeting her up again after all this time would have meant none of this true happiness. His two daughters would not have been born. And that for that reason, he is happy he made a choice to move back to Ponyville. And Nurse Redheart was really happy when it did, because she had told himself once if he had never returned home to back to Ponyville, she may not have found someone else to be with, because in her heart it belonged to Short Fuse and no pony else. And that made him happy to hear. And this is how Nurse Redheart and Short Fuse, when a true love got a big family together. The end.